Let's go to business news now with Kim Savage. Kim, the latest migration figures are out and they're looking fairly strong, but still there's something not quite right with the data?
Yeah, this has been a problem for a couple of months now, really since the end of last year. Stats New Zealand, had a major change to deal with. The government decided to do away with those departure cards that you used to fill out when you jump on a plane to go overseas, which then meant Stats had to change the way it calculates the migration figures and essentially redo its whole model. And so since around November last year, they've continued to issue the migration data, but it's been pretty tricky for economists to rely on, and they've been finding it quite hard to interpret. What it's meant is that Stats has often had to go back and actually revise down its migration figures for previous months, and then that's kind of impacted on the current month's figures. So it's been a difficult one for economists to read there. In fact, Infometrics, which is a consultancy firm, has decided it's not going to actually look at the numbers anymore. It's just going to park them to the side and not use them in any of its forecasts for the time being, just because it just can't quite work out how to interpret them going forward. So difficulties in the data aside, the numbers are the numbers from Stats New Zealand, the official figures. So they do show that migration gains remain strong, with an estimated net 56,000 inflow for that year ended in April. And it was a monthly gain of nearly 2,500. So I guess the question being, why do the migration stats actually matter? And it's because they factor into a lot of things. Of course, people look at the migration stats and look at whether how many people are going, how many people are coming. That affects things like housing. It affects things like how the economy grows. And it's also what the Reserve Bank looks at when it's sort of deciding things like monetary policy. So these figures are relatively important, but it seems that most economists think that they're just a little bit too difficult to interpret, and maybe perhaps that accuracy will improve as time goes on.
Kim, the Rugby World Cup, 100 days away now, so time is running out to get hooked up with, your fastest form of broadband if you wish to stream games. This is through Spark's Sport app, yeah?
Yes, 20th of September, I believe, is the start date. I hope you've got it diaried, Lisa, ready to go. So there's been quite a major investment on Chorus's part, really, to get the network ready for launching this. Of course, they're actually expecting around it's a 44% upsurge in traffic on the network during this time. So they've had to put in quite a bit of work on their network to ensure that it can actually handle this. So they've done a bit of work on what they call the handover, and this is where they take the broadband from the telephone exchange through to the person's house, and they've done a bit of work at that sort of handover place where they pass on the connection to the service provider and really strengthen that. So now what they say is that they can handle an extra 400,000 simultaneous video streams in HD. So that's a pretty significant upgrade to their facilities. But of course, an investment on Chorus's part here, but they're also saying that customers, consumers who want to stream these Rugby World Cup games will need to invest too, and that means upgrading to fibre if they can, and they're actually warning that there is a bit of a limit on the number of connections that they can make between now and when the Rugby World Cup's starting. So 50,000 is the connections they believe they can achieve in that time frame. So yeah, time's running out apparently.
And what else has been going on the markets today?
Well, NZX Top 50, if we take a look at that, 10,205, up 65 points or 0.6%. And if we look on the currency market, the New Zealand dollar trading at 65.7 US and 94.5 Australian.
Thanks, Kim. Kim Savage with business news there from our Wellington studio.